Hello, you guys. Welcome back. The OGs are back. It's so nice to have you back, Jace.
Wow.
We missed you on this couch, but I will say they did, the Valley girls got to see and were reminded that I am beautiful because they saw me on my left side for 4 weeks.
And I heard you playing the victim, and I will let it be on record. I have said I will switch sides.
I know. No, it's not for you. It's really not for you. It's for the Valley girls because it's the only reason I stay on this side is literally because of all the comments. Like, this doesn't feel right. Chelsea needs to be on the right, like, or whatever side I'm on. I don't freaking know. Yeah. That's the only reason I do it.
Well, thanks for,
but also for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's so good to be back. I feel like I never left. Like, it just feels so natural to be here. But also, I am so happy to be back. Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm like brimming with happiness right now. I missed you guys so much.
Yeah.
I missed podcasting. I loved being a listener. It was really fun. I was reminded, I mean, you know, I'm part of the podcast, so it wasn't exactly what other people... whatever.
What they get to listen to exactly, yeah.
But I was like, wow, this is a great podcast.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what a great podcast, for real.
I know.
It was really fun. And yeah, I'm so happy to be back and give you guys all the tea.
So much tea.
There's a lot.
So much to catch up on. Lots has happened.
Yeah.
We have an episode coming up on Friday. So we can like talk about everything besides Benny on that one. Okay. Oh, did I just spoil the name?
I'm like, wow. Wow, really? No,
on that one. Like, you know, all of the things people have been begging us to talk about in pop culture and stuff. We'll talk about that later. And other things to catch up on. Yeah. Today, it's all about you.
Thank you.
It's all about you and your vagina.
Oh, wow. And what a journey we've had. I literally just want to jump right into it because I feel like it's going to be so long. And just catch you guys up on, I'm sad, on, everything that I've been up to. So I gave birth, I did it, and it was a wild experience. It was very unexpected with a touch of trauma, just how we like it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm trying to think of even where to begin, but I guess I'll begin leading up to giving birth.
Week 38.
Yeah. So I was obviously feeling very swollen and uncomfortable towards the end of my pregnancy. And when I had gone to Delaney and Clay's wedding, my feet were super swollen from the road trip that we went on and whatever. When I was at the wedding, there were a lot of girls, like bridesmaids who were moms, and they were all just like, you know, commiserating with me, being like, oh my gosh, the end of pregnancy is just the worst. Like, you're a trooper. Like, put your feet up. Like, oh, I remember the swelling, da-da-da-da. So... anyway, that's just a precursor to what was to come. But anyway, yeah, the weeks leading up, I was definitely getting uncomfortable. I was having weekly appointments, as you do, and everything was always normal and good. And, you know, they'd weigh you and check your blood pressure and blah, 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 and be like, okay, you're good to go. They're always like very fast appointments.
Super fast, yeah.
Check the heartbeat, and everything was always good. So, yeah, when I was like 39 weeks, I started getting really, really uncomfortable, which I just figured was the end of pregnancy. Like, you know, everyone tells me it's just kind of miserable. And I had like a week left, whatever. So on a Monday, I had gone to an appointment and same thing, got weighed, got my blood pressure taken, whatever, everything was normal. A few days later, I am just like, unwell. I'm like, I am so miserable, but to a different degree than I have been. And I'm like, is this just the end of pregnancy? Like, but the things I was experiencing were a really, really bad headache that would not go away. And I've really never experienced that. Like, normally I feel like a headache, I'll have it for a little bit and then, you know, I'll take a nap and like I wake up and it's gone or something like that. Well, I was on maternity leave at this point, so I'm like, you know, laying around a lot, like sleeping a lot, just trying to relax. And I have this horrible headache and I go to sleep and I wake up and it's just as prominent as ever. Jeez. I just deal with it all day. I took a little bit of Tylenol and it did help. And anyway, so I was like, whatever. Next day, still have the headache. I wake up at 3 a.m. I was waking up so many times to pee. I wake up at 3 a.m., have the headache. And I'm like,
my gosh,
go away. Like, this is so annoying and painful. I go pee, I try and go back to bed. I wake up with the headache again. Like it just would not go away. And so, of course, as I do, I'm like Googling like headache that won't go away, pregnancy or whatever. And, sorry. I'm sorry. The next day that I wake up, I kid you not, I'm like, I think I gained 15 pounds overnight. Like it was just, I was so swollen. My feet were so swollen. And I was like trying to keep them elevated all day, every day. I was like sitting with my feet up, whatever. My face was so swollen. Everything on me was, I literally felt like I had put on 10 to 15 pounds in one day. So anyway, but the headache was the thing that was really bothering me. And so I had looked up like have a bad headache, whatever, pregnancy. And everything I'm reading is like headache that won't go away, intense swelling, blah, 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 are all signs of preeclampsia. I've heard of preeclampsia, didn't really know much about it. Anyway, but what it is like high blood pressure. So I talked to my sister-in-law who's a midwife, and she's like, do you have a blood pressure cuff at home? Like maybe just check your blood pressure. And she's like, they have them at CVS and stuff. So I have Leif run to CVS and just get a blood pressure cuff because I'm like, let's just see what my blood pressure is. And we take it at home and it is super high, like way higher than the average, like what it should be. And I tell my sister-in-law the number and she's like, oh, that's like that's pretty high. She's like, take it again in 10 minutes and tell me what the number is. And if it's over this amount, like I would definitely call them and whatever. And so anyway, I take it again in 10 minutes. It's even higher. And I'm like, okay, well, this is concerning, but also it's so weird because I just went to an appointment a few days ago and like everything was so normal. And anyway, I didn't really know much about it, but whatever. So I call the nurse like hotline or whatever it is for that they had written down for me. Here, call this number if you have any questions or if you think you're going into labor or whatever. So I'd also been having contractions like kind of Braxton Hicks contractions, I think, for multiple days. One night I really thought I was going into labor. Like I was having them consistently. I kind of started timing them a little bit, then it kind of just like faded away. And I was like, oh, I guess that was Braxton Hicks. But anyway, I was definitely like feeling symptoms of going into labor leading up.
And I remember you telling me you were really nauseous too.
Yeah, that was another thing.
Yeah, because I remember we were like kind of relating like, oh yeah, end of pregnancy. You're like, yeah, I'm so nauseous. Like I literally felt like the beginning of pregnancy. And I was like, oh, like that's one thing I can't, like I actually don't remember feeling that, and I don't feel like a lot of people felt that. That
was another thing. That was the preeclampsia.
Yeah.
That was another symptom of it. I literally had all of them. So I was like, this is interesting. Anyway, I call the nurse and I tell her the number, and she's like, that basically, I think she had said, I don't remember if she immediately told me to come in or if she was like, take it one more time. I can't remember. But basically, I told her the 2 numbers of my blood pressure, and she was like, yeah, you're going to need to you need to come to the hospital. Yeah, like immediately. I would plan on coming, start driving now or whatever. She was being pretty calm, and I was like, okay, would I have time to I had my hospital bag pretty much ready because I was almost to my due date at that point. But I had, literally just completely lost my
You had your hospital bag ready. She told you.
Oh yeah. I basically asked her, I was like, would I have time to shower? I just wanted to wash my hair before. I was planning on, in my head, my birth plan, and I'm putting quotes because I really didn't have much of one, but I figured I would start laboring at home. I would,
have time to shower.
I would get in the shower or whatever. Yeah. So that was part of my plan. And I my hair was so greasy. I was like, oh, I definitely need to shower before I go to the hospital, and I'm there for a little bit. So I was like, okay, would I have time to just quickly shower, wash my hair and stuff? And she basically was like, no, I would really just start driving immediately. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm stressed and shook because I just got the feeling pretty immediately that I was going to get induced or something. I just was like, okay, it sounds like I don't think I'm going to come in immediately for this, emergency situation. They're going to be like, oh no, you're good.
And I'm basically so at term. Yeah. So it's you were at term, but you're almost at your due date. It's not oh, just go home.
Yeah. Usually, it's days away. My due date is super close. So I'm I just had a feeling they're going to, I feel like I'm going to, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to cry thinking about it now. Cause I just started sobbing, and I was like, oh, my doctor was out of town. They also were like, oh, come to this other hospital that wasn't the hospital I was going to give birth at.
Yeah.
So my entire pregnancy, I've been so excited to give birth at the place that Chelsea gave birth, which is so nice. And everyone that's ever been there has been like, oh, it's the best.
Yeah,
like, it's literally luxury. It's so nice. And I was like, that'll be so awesome. I'm so excited to give birth there. And so, yeah, my doctor was out of town. They're like, oh, and we don't have room for you at this one, so you'll have to go to this one. And it was like further away and like this random, I'd never even heard of the hospital.
Like an older one.
Yeah, it was like older. And I was just like, okay, obviously anything to just get this done safely. But like, it just happens at once. My plan. Yeah. And again, not laboring at home. Like just, I felt like it was very sudden. And it felt like kind of this like just shocking situation where it's like, oh, come in right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like an afternoon. I'm just like, now I have to go to the hospital immediately. I thought in my head I would have time to ease into it. Like, oh, I'm feeling contractions. Let's time them at home. Okay, let me get in the shower. Let me like be on my ball for a little bit. And
baby's coming.
Yeah, baby's coming. Okay, let's get Lady's situation figured out.
Yeah.
And it just like was so fast. And again, it kind of was scary because I'm like, they're seeming like worried about my blood pressure and like I don't even know what this entails, whatever. So I said goodbye to Lady. There's a video that literally cannot be shown because it is so sad because I'm sobbing holding Lady because I'm like, this is the last time I'm going to like, whatever. She's not going to get as much attention.
Yeah.
And
her life's over.
Yeah. And I'm like, and she doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the closest thing I can relate to having 2 kids.
Yeah. No, that is so sad. It is sad.
But anyway, so I'm like sobbing holding Lady and Leif like started filming it and I'm just like uncontrollably sobbing because I just knew I was going to have the baby. I'm like, I know I'm going to the hospital and that's pretty much what's happening. So anyway, we called Abby because Keaton was gone to come grab Lady and she was like, yep, I'll come get her. And we had Lady's stuff prepped. Anyway, whatever. So we went to the hospital and Leif like dropped me off at the front so that I didn't have to walk. And he like went and parked the car with the stuff in. He like, I had been like crying the whole like car ride, just being like, okay, like this is happening. Part of it was excitement. Part of it was just like nerves and whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just really going down. And then, so anyway, I was sitting on this bench in front of the hospital and Leif like went to park and then he came back and he's like, were you crying like on the bench? And I was like, no, I'm locked in. Like, I was like, we're doing this. And he like kind of started laughing. We were just like joking around. And I was like, it's over. I was like, it's over for these hoes. Like we were just being stupid. That's funny. And I was like, I'm ready. Like I feel like, okay, this is happening and this is the situation and we're doing it. So, anyway, we walked in to the hospital and it's like this kiosk with this guy and we walk in and he's like, are you in labor? Like all panicked. And I was like, oh, no, I'm like, not really. I mean, I'm probably going to get induced, but I am going up to like labor and delivery, but I'm not in labor currently. And he just has like very frantic energy. I'm like, okay, whoa, let's cool it, please. I'm already stressed. He's like, are you in labor? And anyway, so I'm like, no, but I'm probably going to get induced. And he's like, is this your first? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, boy or girl? I'm like, girl. He's like, oh, my condolences. I'm like, okay, I've heard that one before. Literally proceeds to be like, he's like, oh, kids. He's like, you think it's fun at first. He's like, give it 2 months. He's like, I'm serious. Give it 2 months. He's like, you'll be real sick. I'm like, okay. So you'll work at a hospital of labor and delivery. I'm about to give birth to my first child. He would not stop.
So this is the usher they chose.
Yes. He's literally like,
my condolences.
Literally going crazy.
Walking you to a funeral. Yes. He's like, your life is over.
No, he literally saying that. He's like, your life is, you know it, done. Like, I'm like, sir? I've already been in the most stressful mindset. Yeah. So me and Leif sit down, we're like laughing. Yeah. And he's like, now you can steal this from me. He's like, and he's being dead serious. He's like, my favorite name for a girl has always been Mackenzie. He's like, if you want to steal it from me, that's fine. He's like, Mackenzie's a beautiful name. I'm like, okay. And
thank you. Yeah. It's actually generous. He's giving you his baby name.
So real. But anyway, I'm like, thanks. Yeah. Like maybe we'll have to use that, whatever. I'm just like playing along. He is going on and on. He's like, I'm serious. He's like, ooh, say goodbye to your sleep. He's like, I'm like, can I just go up to the freaking labor and delivery? Like, you are actually annoying me so much.
Wait, is it the guy that, it's like the security guy kind of?
Yeah, but it was a different hospital then.
I know, but I've been to that hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy who took me back, like, showed me where labor and delivery was. Like, I had an appointment over there.
Oh, okay.
Or not labor and delivery, but where the offices were. He was quite the character. Maybe it was the same
Maybe
guy.
it was him. He would not stop. I'm like, you've got to be quiet at this point. Anyway, so then a nurse came down and got me, and we went up there, and literally just like immediately it was like, okay, yeah, you're getting induced. Like, we're starting you on, well, they had to get an IV in me, which is always a freaking fun experience. I just have like the worst veins ever, and they can never find my veins, and it's always a thing for me. It's like, okay, let's poke you multiple times. Let's try this arm, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the girl did get it first try, actually. She had to give it to me in kind of a weird spot on my arm. But so they got an IV in me, like literally immediately. I'm telling you, I changed into a gown, and it was like within 10 minutes, I had like all these things in me. I'm like, okay. They took my blood pressure again. It was even higher than it was at home. And they were like, okay, like,
jeez.
So
that's so scary.
They got me going on magnesium pretty much immediately, on Pitocin as well. And they were like, okay, so what's happening is like this is definitely preeclampsia, and the only solution for it is getting the baby out of you. Like, that is what, I don't want to say cures it, but like, if you have preeclampsia during pregnancy, the only solution is like giving birth, and then you're usually good. Some people get preeclampsia postpartum, but anyway. So they were monitoring her, like the baby. They had a little like thing on my stomach, and she was always great. Like, there was, it was like her heart rate or whatever, and all of that. So they started monitoring me. They started me on all this different stuff, and yeah. I don't even, it's kind of a blur. I wrote down some stuff actually, because I was like, I don't want to forget this. But pretty much immediately I was just hooked up to everything. They took me into my own room pretty quickly too, because I was just like in a little
triage.
Yeah. And they took us to our own room, and I will say the room was so nice. And I was so like, immediately I was like, this is really great. Like, I am so happy. We were just in like a really big room. It had like huge windows, and it was just really nice. I don't have anything to compare it to, but I was like, I'm happy with this. Like, because I had been sad that I couldn't give birth where I wanted to give birth, but I was like, whatever, this is great. All the nurses that I had, amazing. Literally did not dislike one of them. Like, I was there for multiple days, and so I feel like I got like, they would have like 12-hour shifts. So I had quite a few different nurses, and like all of them were just amazing. And they told me later that it's all women there. They have like no men on their team at all. Yeah. It's all women. And I'm like, oh, that's probably why I had such a good experience, because it was all women, girls, and it was so great. So anyway, they started me on the Foley balloon.
Oh yeah.
That's what I wrote down. And Pitocin that afternoon. So also this magnesium drip, like medicine thing, which turned out to be probably the worst part of my whole experience and my recovery. I just had no idea what that would entail. I didn't know anything about it. But
that's for preeclampsia?
Yeah. So I don't actually, and I should, given the fact that I literally had it, I should probably be even more educated, but kind of the fear of like preeclampsia and what they're trying to do is prevent seizures. Like, preeclampsia can turn into eclampsia. So pre is before. Yeah. And you can have like seizures, and it can be just really dangerous. And so what they're trying to do is lower your blood pressure and get you to not have seizures and things like that. So anyway, so they started me on magnesium, and it's hard because they were kind of explaining to me, magnesium is like a muscle relaxer, and Pitocin is trying to get you going. So they kind of work against each other. Awesome. But you have to be on both, like when you're just dealing with that's what they were telling me at least. And so there's just a lot going on. But also Pitocin can make your contractions like start up and be like really intense, and you don't get like a ton of relief. And so anyway, so they started me on the Foley balloon, and Pitocin, and then and the magnesium, and then I got an epidural late that night. So I was there like early afternoon, and like by the nighttime I was having like a lot of just painful contractions, and I feel like I asked for the epidural pretty early. I don't really know, but I felt like I had just like kept hearing people in my head being like, just ask for the epidural. Like, there's no, if you're in pain, basically you'll know.
Yeah.
When you want it, you'll know, and just like ask for it. So, well,
because we had kind of heard, we were talking before, like a week before, about the epidural, and like we had heard both things where people were like, wait as long as possible so that it like lasts, and then other people were like, you don't need to wait, just get it as soon as possible. Yeah. So it would probably be confusing to be like, wait, when is the perfect time?
Yeah, I was like, I'll just basically wait until I'm in like a lot of pain, handle it, and then I'll just ask. And my nurse kept being like, I was like, should I ask for it? And she's just like, you'll know. She's like, trust me, you'll just know when you want it. She's like, if you're asking, probably not. Like, you're probably fine right now. Like, she's like, whenever you want it, you can ask for it. She's like, it's going to take probably, she was telling me like, well, the anesthesiologist was actually the only man that I ever encountered in the hospital. And he was great too. Yeah. But anyway, she was saying it'll take 15 to 20 minutes to get him in here. So just like keep that in mind. And because of, she's like, there's not really a ton of people here right now. So it'll be pretty quick, but it will take probably 20 minutes. So whenever you're, whatever. So I was keeping that in my mind too. I'm like, okay, I've heard some girls wait like an hour for it. Like that once they ask, it takes another hour.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes didn't seem that long, but I'm like, once I'm in pretty much like pain where I'm just like, this hurts so bad, I'm going to ask for it because it's also going to be 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think I asked her like one more time or late. I was like, oh, should I ask? I don't know. And she's like, you'll know. And then like it got to a point where I was like, I want it. Like, can you get him in here? I was just having like contractions they were intense, and I just felt like I wasn't getting like much relief. And so anyway, I asked for the epidural, got the epidural. So now I'm on epidural, magnesium, Pitocin, Foley balloon. Like there's a million things going on. Yeah. And they like had these things on, I don't remember if it was before or after, they had these things on my legs that like
compression?
Like compress your legs so that you don't get like blood clots. So I have these huge things on my legs. Or no, sorry, that must have been after, maybe, because whatever. I had a bunch of stuff. I was hooked up to like a million things.
Yeah.
So I got some sleep. This podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. We absolutely love Squarespace. At the What We Said podcast, that is no secret. We have used Squarespace on pretty much every business venture. It is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your own terms. And they have so many great features. I personally love all their website templates. They look so professional and they're so easy. You literally just like plug in your photos and the text that you want. But they have the templates already ready for you. It's just so easy to create like a user-friendly, beautiful website that looks super professional. And it's just easy for people to use without you having to be like an expert, coder. And because I definitely am not, and I know nothing about that, but yeah, you can make such a nice website. You can also sell your products on an online store. So whether you sell physical, digital, or service products, Squarespace has the tools you need to start selling online. If you guys remember when I sold my presets, Jaci Marie presets era, I used Squarespace to do that. I've sold lots of different things, whether it was digital or physical on Squarespace, and it's always been a great experience.
Also, if you want to get it in your blogging era, it's kind of fun to start a blog, even if you don't plan on posting it or, pursuing it as a job, just to like document things and make it pretty. Squarespace makes it really easy. They have lots of blogging tools. So they have like tools to help you share stories, photos, videos, and updates. You can categorize, share, and schedule your posts to make your content work for you. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/whatwesaid to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's www.squarespace.com/whatwesaid. Go check it out. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. All of us have our self-care non-negotiables. Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. Personally, I have to have some kind of morning routine where I have a moment to myself to ground myself, to kind of get into a good mindset, whether it's just like a simple like skincare routine where I take a little extra time to like do a facial massage, or maybe I do a little journaling just to make sure that I, can get my day started on the right foot. And that is my non-negotiable. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, or anything like that, it's very easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. So when you feel like you have no time for yourself, your non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever.
Therapy can be helpful for learning positive coping skills, empowering you to be the best version of yourself. And it also is not just for those who have experienced major trauma. Sometimes it is just nice to get an unbiased opinion from someone that's licensed to help you and just to listen to you. Because, you can vent about your problems to your friends or to your family or whoever. But sometimes it's nice to, go to a third party who, again, is unbiased and they've been trained to help you with your mental health so that you can be the best version of yourself and thrive. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. It's obviously super important. You want to click with whoever you're going to be speaking with. And so it's really nice that you can switch it up. And also that it's online, so you don't have to sit in waiting rooms and all of that. So never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/whatwesaid today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/whatwesaid. Another thing is, the moment I got to the hospital, they're like, you cannot eat or drink anything. When you're on magnesium, you can't, I think it's because if you were to have maybe a seizure or if you were to pass out, whatever, you could choke. I don't really know the reasoning, honestly. I kind of forgot why, but they're basically you can't, all clear liquid diet. So they wouldn't even give me water to drink. I was so thirsty and they're like, you can have some ice chips, but that is it. So, and they were even stingy with that. So from the moment
you couldn't have water?
I couldn't drink water.
Oh, what the heck?
They wouldn't let me drink. I was so thirsty. Oh my gosh. And I was so freaking hungry. And anyway, so from the moment I had gotten there, which at that point, fast forward to the morning, because I slept a little bit. They were coming in every few hours to do blood work because they would just kept checking all my levels and whatever else. And so anyway, by the morning, then they took out the Foley balloon was out or whatever, and I was getting more dilated and blah blah blah, and I was actually progressing fairly quickly. Every time they'd come in, they'd be like, oh yeah, you're further along, blah blah blah, you're this amount of dilated. I can't even really remember. And all of that's kind of just I feel there was nothing really groundbreaking that happened. I was just progressing, and they would just come in every so often and check what was happening. And then I feel it was before I knew it, I was out of 10. At this point I was actually feeling contractions and my epidural had really worn off a lot. But my nurse was like, it's kind of good for you to feel something. She's like, because I kept saying, I was like, I'm not numb. I'm not completely numb. I was kind of starting to freak out a little bit. Because I could feel, she would move my leg and I'm like, I can feel that. And they anyway. And she's like, it's good to be able to feel something. You don't want to be completely numb. She's like,
you were really dilated, right? And so you were about to push, kind of.
Yeah. She's like, are you feeling pain or pressure? She kept asking. And I was like, I don't know, kind of pain. And she's like, anyway. But my epidural was essentially gone. The thing, they were like, literally right before I started pushing, one of the nurses she's like, oh, her epidural's gone. I'm like, girl,
keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself.
Tell me it's fully pumping.
Yeah. So anyway, before I literally knew it, I was out of 10. She's like, yep, you're out of 10. I don't remember if this is before or after, but basically they were like, when you feel the urge to poop, when you feel oh wow, I need to poop. Yeah. That's when it's time. And I think that was the order of it. I felt like that. I was I told my nurse, I was like, I feel like that. And she's like, okay, well, let's check. And then she's like, oh, you're out of 10.
So crazy.
And it was literally just okay, you're right. And I was like, sorry, is this really happening? And I remember vividly when she was like, okay, we're going to do some practice pushes. And I had heard that before, okay, you're going to do I'd heard other people say, they do practice pushes and then you push and then whatever. And I was I remember vividly being I can't. What do you mean? Because I was so exhausted. I was so groggy from all the stuff that I was on. What I found out later is that magnesium is really intense. Anyone who's been on it after I gave birth, when they would find out, when they would read my chart and be like, oh, you're on magnesium, they're like, oh my gosh, okay. And I'm like, okay. They didn't tell me that going into it, but obviously, what are they going to do? Be like, this is really intense medication. You're going to feel very tired. So I didn't really have a huge warning about that, but I now know in hindsight, that's why I was so insanely exhausted. Also, I hadn't eaten in over 24 hours or drank a single drop of water. So I was really depleted.
And probably didn't get great sleep either.
No, and I was up every few hours because they were coming and poking me and stuff. So anyway, she's like, we're going to do a practice push, whatever. And so, by the way, my mom, Jilly, and Leif were in the room with me. So my mom had flown in and come in that morning. So anyway, she was like, we're going to do a practice push and blah, blah, blah. And so she kind of like teaches me like, okay, you're going to like breathe in and whatever. I was so disoriented. I was so groggy. I was so exhausted. And I did one push. Like she kind of told me, okay, you know, you're going to breathe in for this amount. And then I kind of forgot what they even say, but whatever. Breathe in
like,
and hold
down.
And then just like, and so I do one push and I'm like kind of holding on to, I think like Leif and my mom or like my legs. I can't remember. And I just look at Leif and I go, it's not going to work. I said, this is not going to, like,
I can't.
Yeah. Not like I'm in too much pain, but just like, I remember pushing and being
tired.
like, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you've pushed one time and she's in there still. Like, but I just remember feeling like, how the heck am I going to be able to push a baby out when I'm this tired? And like, I also was so disoriented that I couldn't really, I kept being like, wait, I don't understand the pushing. Like, I don't understand the timing of it because, or I would like breathe at the wrong time. Like they would be like, when you're supposed to breathe in, I'd like breathe out or something. And I was like, so I was getting confused and Leif's like, you got it. He kept reminding me, he's like, remember, go out and in, whatever. So anyway, I'm just like, how the heck is this going to work? So then I remember just being like, okay, Jaci, like you have to do this. Like this, there's no way out. Like, cause I literally was like, I can't, this is not going to work. Nothing is actually happening when I'm pushing. Like there's no progress. That's how I felt, is like, it's not doing anything. So then, everyone was so encouraging. But I did a few more and I was like, okay, I think I'm kind of like understanding the groove of it. I'm understanding the breathing of it. And I'm feeling like a little more like I can do this. Obviously they're good at their job. They were very much like encouraging me. They're like, you know, this baby's coming, like you're gonna, whatever. And I'm just like, okay. So I start pushing and basically I pushed for, I think less than an hour. Yeah. And it felt like, I swear it felt like 15 minutes, which is crazy. I thought it would have felt like it was forever, but I don't know. It kind of went by quickly. And I just kept pushing. And then she was just here. Like I felt like it was so fast. One moment that is just living rent free in my mind is that the nurse. So I'm pushing and I'm like getting closer and closer. And she's like, Leif and I had talked before. I'm like, you don't need to be down there. Let's keep it up here, bud. Yeah. Keep it up here. Like, I didn't really care if you like wanted to look down there, but I also was just like, can you just like be up here by me, like supporting me? You don't need to be over by the doctor.
You're already feeling like very exposed.
Yes, I'm feeling extremely exposed. And Leif's like, okay, whatever. And I also just didn't know how involved like he would want to be in that. Like he is kind of a queasier like person. So I'm like, why don't you just stay over here?
I need you to not be passing out. Like stay right here. Yeah.
That man got very involved very quick. Literally anything, they'd be like, oh, do you want to see this? He'd be like, yes. Like he was so into it. I was like, okay, slay. Like he wanted to be involved. We love that. Yeah. So I'm like pushing. The nurse is like, does anyone want to like come and guess the hair color? And my mom's like, oh, does that mean you can see her head? And she's like, I don't know. Like kind of being like, you know, trying to.
Playing a trick.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know. Like, Dad, do you want to, talking to Leif, like, Dad, do you want to come see if you can like see the hair color or like the head? And Leif's like, yeah. So he like comes over and he's like, oh my gosh, like I see your head. And he's like, I can't really tell the hair color though. And she's like, she's bald. Stunned. When I tell you, I literally lost the motivation to push. I'm like, girl, what do you mean?
Honestly, the comedic timing of her is hilarious, though.
She's like, she's bald. I'm like, then why are we having this conversation?
Just building it up so much.
I'm like, oh, is she this gorgeous redhead already? Like, oh, I can't wait. Like me pushing, like getting motivation. She's like, she's bald. I'm like, cool. Anyway.
I'm screaming.
I could not. I remember being in labor and thinking that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in pain. My epidural is like kind of gone. I'm feeling a lot. And I remember literally being like, that was so weird and hilarious. Like, I need to remember that she said that. That hilarious. Is so funny.
Prankster.
Literally a jokester. I'm like, really? During a time like this? Anyway, so I kept pushing. Her head was there. We were getting close. And yeah, honestly, a few more pushes. They had called the doctor in, who was not my doctor. I'd never met her. I actually had met her earlier that day. She's the one who like took the balloon out and whatever. Yeah. I ended up loving her so much. I loved the doctor who delivered her. I like told Leif, I'm like, wait, like I would actually want her again in the future if I could, like, maybe that was a blessing in disguise. Like, I really, really loved her. And I loved the nurse who was with me too, because she was with me at the beginning and then she clocked out and I was like, dang it. And I had another nurse for 12 hours who I also really liked. But then that nurse, she was older. She had been a nurse for like 30 or 40 years.
Love that.
Yeah. And she ended up getting right back on shift like really soon before I started pushing. And so she was the one who was like guiding me through everything. And I was like, I felt really comfy with her because she's the one who she was the first one I saw when I got to the hospital. Yeah. She's the one who was like, okay, you're going to get induced. Like, anyway, so I felt like very comfy with her. And then I loved the doctor. Anyway, so yeah, a few more pushes and she was out. And I was just like, literally so shook. Like, I don't even really remember the exact moment because I was just so shook. And I also feel like I had almost dissociated from what was happening because I was so groggy and so exhausted. But it was such an empowering experience. And I really did love my actual birth. Like, the actual part of giving birth, I did love. And it was so like rewarding and empowering and it was amazing. And like, yeah, she just held her up and I did video it just for memories, obviously. And, it was really cool to watch it back and then like kind of see everyone's reaction from like a different perspective, like seeing my mom and Leif and like the nurse. And it's funny, they like pulled her out and like immediately the nurse was like, what a gorgeous cord. She's like, what a gorgeous umbilical cord. I'm like, okay, slay. I didn't know that she said that in the moment, but I was watching it back. And anyway, they just like put her on my chest and I was just shook. It was obviously just like otherworldly amazing. Like everyone says, I just could not believe that it was real.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the birth part.
It's so like, I'm so proud of you. I feel like you had so much to go through. I was so terrified the whole time, like texting your mom. I'm like, oh, hey, don't want to bother you, but is Jaci alive? Is she okay?
Yeah.
Because like you talked to me on your way to the hospital and just like, hey, this is what's happening. Yeah. Basically, I have preeclampsia. Yeah. And then obviously I know, like when you're in the hospital and you're doing it, you're not like texting people updates all the time.
Yeah.
But then it was like silent. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Now I get it from other people's perspective when you're the one giving birth. You just check out. You're like, I'm going to the hospital for 2 days, basically. Yeah. And everyone's just like waiting. Like, for updates. Is everyone okay? Is everything good? Like, especially when it's a scary situation going in. But I feel like what you were saying about the moment where you think you can't do it and then it's like the most beautiful part of birth, that moment where you're just like, wait, no, like I actually can't. Like I don't know. How can I get, like, I need to get out of this. Like, how am I supposed to get out of this? And you know the only way is to push them out. And it feels impossible. And then like the feeling after when they actually come out, you're just like, I did it. Oh my gosh, I did. Like I actually was pushed to my limit. Physical, humanly limit. Yeah. And then I still did it.
Yeah. I think the epidural thing too, I've heard people be like, oh, my epidural was gone. And that always terrified me. I was like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. Yeah. In my case, it definitely was not gone. Like it definitely took the edge off and helped a lot. But I did feel like every time there's a contraction, I could feel it. And I knew I had to push, which maybe you always can when you have an epidural. But I was talking to someone and they were like, oh no, like the nurses had to tell me like, hey, contraction's coming. Like it was very clear to me. I was like, oh, I have to push. Like I was feeling that more. Yeah. And then afterwards, I did tear a little bit. It was not a super bad tear, but she was stitching me up. I could literally feel the stitches. Like I was
like, I'm not numb.
Yeah, I was like, oh, ow, ow. Like I could feel it. And so anyway, but yeah, it's all, let me see if I wrote anything else down about like the actual birth. I am excited about this new sponsor, Lissy Skincare. Their products are, first of all, really just cute and simple packaging that I love. I'm trying to kind of get back into a good skincare routine being postpartum because I feel like I've kind of let that slip away throughout the past few months. I just haven't like prioritized my skincare as much, but I'm ready to be back in my wellness skincare era, and I really love their hydrating serum. It's very, again, it just kind of feels like simple to me, and it just kind of feels like a big drink of water. It's oil free, it's non comedogenic, it's safe for all skin types and tones. I'm pretty particular about what I put on my skin because I do have kind of sensitive skin. And I'm also prone to getting acne, which Lissy Skincare was created by an esthetician who struggled with acne for 10 plus years, couldn't really find anything to clear up her acne or fungal acne. And so all of their products are acne and fungal acne safe, which is amazing.
Their best seller and viral product is the Mandelic Serum. I love this. I have actually been on the hunt for a lactic acid for a while because when I went to get a facial when I was pregnant, she was saying like, you want to exfoliate, but obviously you want something that's like breastfeeding safe, pregnancy safe. And so a lactic acid is going to help you exfoliate. And this one, the Mandelic Serum, is so nice. I love it. I use it like once or twice a week, add it to my routine, and it really just helps me, I feel like, with inflammation or just feeling overall glowy. So all of their products are pregnancy safe, breastfeeding safe, and safe for all skin types and skin tones. Most skincare ingredients known to improve acne are not pregnancy safe or are more aggressive on your skin and aren't for all skin tones. So we love Lissy Skincare for that. Their products were made with acne-prone skin in mind, but they also offer amazing benefits such as brightening, anti-aging, barrier repair, and more. So go to LissySkincare.com and use the code WhatWeSaid at checkout for 10% off your order. That's LISSY skincare.com. Use the code WhatWeSaid for 10% off your order. We're going to jump into an ad to talk about Rhoback. So Rhoback has a new women's line, and it's time you try it out because their stuff is so cute and so great. If you are into your golf era, your pickleball era, tennis, or just like you're walking, you want to look cute and sporty, you got to check out Rhoback. So they have their sunrise shorts that are so nice. They have built-in liners, which are super comfortable, and they have a really cute look, and they fit perfectly. I hate shorts that you're constantly picking at and just when you're walking or when you're going on a run, you don't want to be worrying about the comfort of your shorts. So that's why we love Rhoback. And if you're not a big shorts fan, they also have skirts. So you can wear them for pickle, you can wear them for tennis, or whenever you're on the move. They have pockets built into the liner that are really convenient and overall just really cute.
They also have a really cute active dress. It is just called the Rhoback Active Dress on their website. They figured out a way so you can keep your dress on when you gotta go, if you know what I mean, which is very, very nice. They call it their GTG technology, and it's amazing. It's also super comfortable, flattering, and just great for whatever the day has in store. You know, personally, I feel like if you're gonna play pickleball, tennis, golf, you're gonna go out with, well, girls can golf too, but you know, you're gonna go out with the boys and golf with your husband or something. You gotta look the part, and it will motivate you more when you feel and look cute. So if you haven't already, it is now time to try out some Rhoback. Use the code WhatWeSaid on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off your first order through the end of this week. That is spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all shorts, skirts, dresses, and more with code WhatWeSaid. Stay comfortable all day with Rhoback. The other part was that right after I gave birth, they were like, okay, just so you know, you can't eat for another 24 hours or drink anything. And I was literally like, now that's going to be a problem. Like,
yeah. What are you going to do if I just
haven't eaten or drank in 30 hours? I just did the hardest thing I've ever done. I can't have a drink of water. Like,
wait, that's crazy, actually.
Like literally no drinking or eating. Still clear liquid diet and just like just ice chips. Like they would not let me like even drink water. And it was because I was still on the magnesium, which I don't know. I don't really like understand all of it medically, but anyway. So, I give birth. I am literally so dead tired, but obviously just like so happy and excited, and it felt so rewarding. And we did like skin to skin, and so did Leif, and my mom was there. And anyway, she left for the night, and my brother and my dad were also at the hospital, but they weren't in there when I gave birth. So they came like really briefly. They didn't hold her or anything. They just like kind of saw her from a distance, and then they all went home. And yeah, we just it's so funny because the first night with a newborn, they like don't do any, like they, actually, I honestly kind of can't remember, but I just remember being like, oh my gosh, she's like so chill. Like she literally does not even like make a noise. And then the second night I'm like,
they like don't realize they're like in the world.
Yeah. And the nurses were telling me, they're like, oh yeah, the first night's like, the first night is very like, not easy, but it's like, they're very sleepy. And like, they don't really
even open their eyes. Really.
Like they're literally just chilling. But I will say, immediately upon her being born, like I was just like, yeah, like I knew it. Like I knew her and like I knew what she was going to look like. And it was exactly what I thought. Like I remember saying on the podcast, I was like, I think she'll have my nose. I don't think she's going to have a lot of hair. I think she'll be small. And then I was like, wait, maybe I shouldn't be saying all this because like, what if my mother's intuition is like completely off and she's just like Leif's twin and she looks nothing like me and she has all this hair, like who knows? But like right when I saw her, I was like, yeah, like I really did feel that just like soul connection where I was just like, yeah, that's her. And like, I don't know. It just felt very like with IVF because my first transfer failed. I don't know. I just really hoped that like when eventually I did get pregnant, it would like make sense to me or be like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel
like it happened for a reason.
Yeah. Like I just wanted to feel some sort of like comfort or like peace surrounding the fact that like I did lose one of my embryos and like, I don't know. And Leif and I were just talking about that because I was like, aren't you so happy that it's her? Like, I just like, it did feel like that. Like it just happened. Whether it happened for a reason or not, or whether I assign meaning to how it happened, like I just felt like, oh yeah, this was like supposed to be, she was always like supposed to be with us. And so it just felt very right. And yeah, from just like the moment I saw her, I was just like, yeah, it just makes sense. I'm just obsessed with her. She's literally so cute and perfect and tiny.
Yeah.
And
she is so freaking cute.
Yeah. And my mom was like sobbing. She's like, she looks exactly like you, like when I was a baby. And so that was really sweet too. Anyway, now I'm sobbing and all my makeup's gone. But it was just a very special, very, very special experience. And anyway, so we had that first night. I didn't eat anything. The next morning, I was like, okay, I gotta eat. Mama's gotta eat. So, and I need to, like, I need fluids and I need to eat. Like, I am starving. At this point, it had been literally almost 48 hours of eating nothing and whatever. So, I had a new nurse and I was like, is there any way that I could eat? Or like
they said I could eat.
Yeah.
It's like a substitute teacher. Literally. Doesn't know the rules.
Yeah. They're like, nice try. But I was like, is there any way that I could eat or like at least drink like more like apple juice and like water? Like sometimes they would, during like a few of my nurses with like the liquid diet thing, they would be like, oh, I can give you some apple juice with like ice. And I'd be like a little bit of apple juice with ice and like kind of just whatever. And I'm like, yes, like I'll take anything. And anyway, so it was a new nurse and I was like, is there any way I could eat? Like I haven't eaten. So I gave birth last night. I still haven't eaten. And she was like, you gave birth last night and still haven't eaten. And
That's insane.
I would like drink anything. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, I'm going to like try and make sure you can eat. Like, let me okay it with the doctor because you're on whatever you're on. She's like, anyway, so she came back in like 10 minutes and she's like, you can eat breakfast, like order whatever you want. Like, and I literally was like, oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever. So I ordered like pancakes and like, I don't even remember honestly, like eggs and apple juice and whatever. I was just like, give me, I am so freaking hungry. Also, I am so excited to eat because like eating during pregnancy, I would just like get heartburn, all that stuff. Like I was so excited to not be pregnant and be able to eat food normally and not have all these things. So anyway, that was like the best meal ever. I just ate like a huge breakfast.
Did it like instantly taste different?
I feel like it did. It just instantly was like I wasn't worried about like, oh, if I lay down, am I gonna like...
This is normal.
Yeah, it just felt like a normal meal. Oh my gosh, it was so nice. So I was so happy to eat finally.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was literally one of the worst parts is like... So basically I had to stay at the hospital longer than I would have liked to because they were monitoring my blood pressure and they were like, we need to make sure it goes down and blah, blah, blah. Also, this is foreshadowing, I had a catheter in for like days because when you have an epidural, you're like numb, so you can't get up to go pee, so you have a catheter. But I had a catheter in from the very beginning because of the magnesium. It's a muscle relaxer, I guess, whatever. I didn't get out of bed from the moment I got there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Literally, not one time.
Yeah.
So then I was on the magnesium, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was like the day after I gave birth, or maybe 2 days after. I can't remember. I think it was the day after I gave birth. They were like, okay, we're going to have you try and walk to the bathroom. Like, if you can walk to the bathroom, then we can take your catheter out. Like, then you can start like going to the bathroom to go pee. And I was like, of course I can walk. Like, what do you mean? I get up. She's like, the magnesium tends to really, like, it makes it feel hard to like move your legs and stuff. I was like, oh, okay. I get off the side of the bed. I'm like, oh my gosh. My legs felt like 2,000 pounds.
Oh
like they were just like literally feet 5 foot. I was like, I cannot walk. Like it was crazy. I was like leaning on the nurse and also just like healing down there and everything.
I was going to say it's hard anyways, like regardless to walk. I feel like I always think the same thing. I'm like, oh, I can walk. And then I get up, I'm like, oh, you're so sore. So sore down there, especially if you're pushing on your back, like your butt is so sore. It's like, so I can only imagine with the magnesium, it's probably just like cement.
Yes, literally cement. I was like, oh my gosh, I am so like sore and I literally can barely move. But I was able to, and I like kind of leaned on her and she was like, okay, like once you do that a few times, then we can whatever. So then they took the catheter out eventually. But I was at the hospital for like 4 days total. I think it was. I think it was like 3 nights, 4 days. And that day that I was like released, I was like really pushing to be released. Like I think that they would have kept me maybe one more night, but I was like, please, like let me go home. I really don't want to be here for 5 days. Like, I just was so ready to be home. So, anyway, my arms were trashed. And what I mean by that is like they came in every few hours to take blood work, and my veins are so annoying. Like this has been an annoying thing in my life forever. Just like they can never find my vein, whatever. It's always small. They always have to poke me a million times. Sometimes they literally just like give up. They're like, sorry, we can't find a vein. Like, so, they were just like going here, going there. Oh, sorry, it was all over my makeup, all over my sweater. Awesome. On my hand, on the other hand, like it was just, I had so many poke marks. My arms were just absolutely trashed. I literally told Leif, take a picture of these so that if Benny's ever a brat growing up, I can show her this and say, look what I have done for you. Because they were so bruised and like
you showed me,
and just like like marks everywhere from all this blood work. So I just was ready to get out of the hospital, even though I did have such a great experience as far as like all the nurses were amazing, all the doctors were amazing, the care was just like top notch. Like I was so grateful for the experience that I did have, but at the same time I was like, okay, I'm ready to be done with all the poking and all the medication and everything. So I just had so many more interventions than I would have ever wanted. Like I did plan on getting an epidural, but that was kind of it. Like I obviously didn't know I was going to be on Pitocin. I didn't know I was going to get the Foley balloon. I didn't know I was going to get magnesium. I didn't know blah, blah, blah. Like it just was thing after thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then they were still kind of like, okay, you just want to be careful, like still monitor your blood pressure at home. Like it was just kind of an added thing, whatever. Then they told me that, what I learned a little bit later was they were like, I had to stay on some medications, some oral medications, like for 5 days or a week or something like that once I got home. And what I found out later is that medication, they're like, oh, that's going to absolutely dehydrate you and wipe out your milk supply. Awesome. Like it's going to take like way longer for your milk to like fully come in.
Wait, you said they did tell you that?
They did not tell me that.
Oh, they didn't tell you that.
Until I spoke with a lactation consultant because I was like, I don't feel like my milk has come in and she wasn't like eating enough. Betty was not eating enough and I was like getting really stressed. And she was like, oh, like that medication you're on is like, you're not going to get your milk in for blah, blah, blah. And anyway, so that was like a whole thing to deal with once I was home. And that was super stressful. And so anyway, I started trying to pump to try and get the milk supply up, blah, blah, blah. Well, very soon, Chelsea literally came over, had to emergency give me breast milk. Not me. Oh, please. I'm like, she breastfed me.
Betty's crying. I'm milking you.
Milking.
I'm feeding you.
It's, and my cousin also, my angel cousin gave me some of her breast milk, which I understand that is like gold, and I don't want to talk about it because I'll start sobbing, but I literally, the second Chelsea came over, I was sobbing because I was just like, oh my gosh, like I am so lucky that I have such good friends and like people in my life who will just like come over and help me in this extremely vulnerable time. So thank you for that. I love you very much.
It just makes you love women. You're just like, oh, I just love women. I love being a girl.
Literally, I have like a
other
pattern,
girls.
like this underwear. I'm like literally laying there. Chelsea comes over. I just started sobbing. I'm like, thank you. Anyway, and
it's just like the emotions, the hormones. It's just like this new precious baby, and you don't want like when they're so tiny. You just like anything on them foreign. You're just like, I don't want any clothes that haven't been washed on them. Like I don't want. You just want it to be so perfect. Yes. And so everything is so vulnerable and you're so stressed about them. You're just like, please be fine.
Everything be normal.
Yeah.
And it was just it was like really stressing me out that she wasn't like eating, like she wasn't getting enough from me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like, really stressing me out. Leif, when Chelsea came over, he's like, I want to give you a hug, but I'll start sobbing. He's like, I can't.
Didn't even look at me.
Yeah. He's like, I can't. So we were just like so grateful. But anyway, so that helped. We had some milk to help supplement while like my milk was coming in, blah, blah, blah. But shortly after that, within a few days of that whole thing, I was pumping where I was getting a little bit more milk, but basically then I started feeling a UTI coming on. And I'm like, now this is what we're not going to do, is have a UTI while I'm freshly postpartum.
Yeah.
Well, enough has gone on down there.
It's like
they warned
enough.
me of this at the hospital because I had a catheter in for so long. So they were like, just so you know, like UTIs can happen because of the catheter. Just keep an eye out for it. Like, you know, just if you feel any symptoms, whatever. I started feeling symptoms. I am very familiar with UTI symptoms. I've gotten many UTIs in my life, and I started feeling just, you know, the feeling of
the dreaded
like urgency to pee, and then you pee and it's like burning. But at the same time, I was like, okay, is this a UTI or is this postpartum? Because I literally have stitches down there. I'm super sore. Like maybe the burning is that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But within like a day, I was like, no, I think I have a UTI. Like I fear this is turning into a UTI. So I called, and because I'm postpartum, like, which already one of the nurses was like, oh, you'll probably have to go to the ER. And I'm just like, I have a newborn. Like, I do not want to go. It was like a weekend. And she was like, oh yeah, you'll probably have to go to the ER and like stay there. And I'm just like, this is a nightmare. Like I didn't want to leave her for hours and whatever. I was still trying to breastfeed. And so anyway, then another, like the doctor was like, actually, we'll just write you a prescription. Like if you think it's a UTI and you're feeling the symptoms, like you can just go pick up a prescription for an antibiotic. You don't have to, that way you don't have to like go to the thing. Like you're so freshly postpartum, you have a newborn. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you. Like I really appreciate that. So they put me on a breastfeeding safe antibiotic for the UTI. So I was on that for 5 days and it was helping. Like I thought that, I don't know, I wasn't really having the symptoms, but literally immediately upon getting off of the antibiotics, it was 5 days of that. Literally on like the 6th or 7th day, I was like, why do I feel like I have a UTI again? It literally was I just got off the antibiotics.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and if you have had UTIs, you know how like painful and annoying they are. Like it's not something you can just be like, like
I'll go about my life.
Yeah, like you can't really bypass it. It's just like, okay, this is interfering because you have to pee so often, and you do, and it's burning, it's painful. You feel like this weird sensation, and again, I'm still trying to heal down there and stuff. So I call my OB, like my doctor, and I'm like, hey, I just got off the antibiotics, but I'm feeling like I have a UTI again. Like, can I come in and give a urine sample so that like I can see if it is UTI or maybe it's just postpartum and I don't know. Like that's kind of what I started thinking is like maybe this is just healing and that's a part of it. So I went in to give a urine sample and for them to like send off and do a culture or whatever of it to tell me if there was bacteria. And they essentially, they're like, it could take a couple days to get the results, which I already was like, okay, I hope I don't have an infection because if like a couple days, it's kind of a, you know, but I'm like, okay, I wasn't feeling like horrible at the time. So I was like, okay, whatever. And she's like, you can take these, the over the counter, like medication to help stop the frequency and the urgency. Like, that's fine. You can take those to like, if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, I'll just do that. And she's like, but that's not like, you shouldn't breastfeed when you're taking that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to keep my supply up. So I'm like pumping and just dumping it and then supplementing with formula. Cause at this point I'm like, okay, I can't literally be like relying on all my friends to feed my child. Like at some point I have to she has to eat so much, like, or not so much, but like so often.
Yeah.
And so I started like supplementing a little bit with formula, pumping, dumping it out, which is so annoying. And it's like painful too. Whatever. So I'm just like taking the over-the-counter stuff to like get by, and I'm waiting for the results. Day 1, day 2, day 3. It's been day 3. I'm still having like the symptoms, and I'm like, okay, I hope they get them to me tomorrow. I hope it's tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. 5 days. They get me the results on the 5th day. Well, on that 5th day, I am so unwell. Like, it took a turn overnight, and I mean quite literally overnight, because that night I was like freezing. Like, I got the most chills. Like, I was like, Leif, I'm freezing. Like, I woke him up in the middle of the night and I was like, I need another blanket. Like, I'm freezing. He's like, oh gosh, okay. So he's like putting blankets on me, and I'm literally like shivering. I fall asleep. I wake up. I'm sweating bullets. Like, it's like chills, then night sweats. And my back was hurting so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, my back hurts so bad. It was like 3 or 4 a.m. And I'm just like, oh, I'm in so much pain. Like, I'm trying to sleep. I'm up I'm up with Benny as well. So is Leif. Like, we're having like a rough night. That morning, I'm like, okay, something ain't right. And they need to tell me immediately if that, yeah. I'm like, obviously something's just not right. So I was like prepared. I'm like, I might have to like go to the hospital or something. Like, I am not well, but I am trying everything in my power to not have to go to the hospital because I have a newborn. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to be away from her, and I don't want to go to the hospital. Like, this is not what I want. But also, if I'm like very unwell, obviously I need to get it checked out. So I call them. I'm like, do you have the results? It's been 5 days. Like, I am having a lot of symptoms at this point. Like, I tell her my symptoms, and she's like, oh, let me check. She's like, oh yeah, we just got the results literally 30 minutes ago. She's like, yeah, it's positive for bacteria. Like, you have a UTI. And I'm like, cool. So I told you that 5 days. And like, maybe people are listening and they're like, you should have just gone sooner. Like, but it's just like, I was taking the over-the-counter medication that was kind of like dulling it down. Yeah. Like, I wasn't feeling that. I was like, okay, maybe it's not even a UTI. Maybe it's fine. Like, it was helping my symptoms in the moment until I started feeling super sick. So anyway, it starts rapidly, like, I am rapidly declining. Like, once I hear that, I'm like, okay, everything I've looked up, and this is just the weird part, is like, everything I looked up before I went and gave birth was like preeclampsia. And I was like, I'm sure I don't actually have that. You know, it's like you look up and you're like, I'm sure it's not that. That's worst case. Yeah. And then it was. And everyone at the hospital, when I came in, they were like, the nurses were like, good job for like going and getting a cuff and like coming in. They're like, that's really good you came in when you did. Like, they're like, so intuitive. No one told you to, they're like, good following your intuition. Like, that was really good, because they were basically saying, no one told you to come in. You went and got a blood pressure. And I was like, yeah, like, I was just worried that I maybe had this thing. And so health anxiety came in handy. So then same thing with this. So I'm having the back pain. I'm having the UTI symptoms, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have a kidney infection. Like, everything I look up is like back pain, fever, and chills. I can't remember. There were all these symptoms. I literally had every single one of them. And I'm like, I have a freaking kidney infection. Like, I was telling Leif, I'm like, I'm sure that's what it is. And I have to go get it looked at now. And everything I looked at was like, again, worst case scenario is it's like sepsis, which is like, it gets into your blood. It can get into your bloodstream, the infection. And like, it's literally life threatening. It's really dangerous. So I'm like, I gotta go. Like, I have to go to the hospital. So Keaton came over, took me to the ER. At the point that I went to the hospital, it was right after I found out that they were like, yes, it's positive for UTI. And I was having such bad symptoms, and I was literally like shaking. Like, I was like, my teeth were chattering. My lips were like turning blue. My hands were like kind of numb. I was literally so unwell. And I just knew. I was like, I have to go. So Keaton came and rushed me to the ER immediately upon even like seeing me, because my lips were blue. They were like the girl was like, are your lips normally that color? And like, Keaton was like, no. Like, and I was like so pale. Even paler than normal. I know, shocking. And
they're like, is she nowhere that pale? He's like, yes.
He's like, that one, yes. And so they like wheeled me back again immediately. I'm hooked up to a machine. I'm hooked up to an
So
IV,
crazy.
and blah, 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 they're whatever. So yeah, to make a long story short, I had a UTI that turned into a kidney infection, and I had a sepsis. Like, I don't know if you call it a sepsis infection, but it was sepsis. It was mild.
You were septic.
Yeah. It was able to be controlled, and it didn't reach my bloodstream, which is like really good, fortunate. But yeah, I just had this like horrible infection. I was so unwell, and I had to stay at the hospital for 3 days. I expected, like, I was like, no, am I going to get admitted overnight? And they were like, yes, like, this is not something to like play around with. And so again, I'm sobbing because I'm like, I have a newborn. My husband's at home alone with our newborn. Yeah. And like, not that he isn't so capable and literally the most I trust him more than anyone in the world, but I'm just like, I feel so bad for him that he's like worried about me. Yeah. Now he's home alone with a newborn, and he's going to have to do every single thing for the next, all the night feedings and whatever. And so my mom ended up being able to fly in the next day, and she helped out, which was really nice. It was like great peace of mind to know that, like, I just felt, I don't know, me and Leif were both just like feeling very like worried, scared, and isolated. And we've never had a newborn before, so it's just like this new experience. I feel like I'm rambling, but
no, you're not.
That was the whole, like, I just had this really bad infection, and I wanted to first of all say, like, just UTIs in general, like, you never want, I had heard that. I had heard people like, oh, it can turn into a kidney infection. I'm just like, yeah. Like, I'm just saying I've heard that in the past. Yeah. Like, people are always like, if you have a UTI, like, make sure to.
Like, you don't mess around.
Yeah, you don't mess around. Like, because it could turn into a kidney infection. I'm always just like, whatever. And like, then once it happened to me, I'm like, oh, that was like the worst thing I've ever experienced. Obviously, being postpartum as well. It's just not fun to have anything crazy going on down there and just with your health. But it was a really bad infection. And I basically the doctor was saying, like, and this is news that I wanted to spread on the podcast, okay? If I leave you with one thing, is she was saying it is better, because she was asking me, like, okay, do you get frequent UTIs? And I was like, kind of, honestly. Like, I've gotten many UTIs in my life, and I don't know why. Like, I try and hydrate. I don't know if I'm dehydrated or what. And she was saying, like, do you hold your pee? Like, do you hold your urine a lot? And I'm like, maybe, honestly. Like, I can kind of recall times when I just like, like, I'll just go later, if I kind of have the urge to pee, but I'm like, oh, I can wait on it. And she was telling me, she's like, I always tell people, like, women, it is better to pee in the dirtiest bathroom. Like, she was saying, if you're on a road trip and you're like, oh, I have to pee, but like, this bathroom is so dirty. She's like, it is better to pee in the dirtiest bathroom you've ever seen than to hold your urine. Like, it is not good to hold your pee. Yeah. I thought that was good information to share, like, maybe obvious, but I don't know. I definitely do that. Like, I'm at a store and I'm just like, I'll just wait till I get home. Like, I want to be more comfortable. And she was just saying, when you have the urge to pee, you should pee. Yeah. Like, it can lead to UTIs, it can lead to infection, whatever. So that's something that I'm now taking with me. I'm definitely like, anytime I get the slightest urge to pee, I am in that bathroom. But yeah, it was, again, just kind of traumatizing. Honestly, I think that part was like more traumatizing to me than even the preeclampsia thing, because I felt like, okay, I was safe throughout my whole labor. Benny was always safe. Like, she, like, her vitals were always good and everything. So I just felt like, okay, yeah, that was annoying that I had preeclampsia and like the recovery was rough, but
yeah, it's okay.
It's okay now. And like, I think this infection just felt like another like punch to the gut, where it was like, oh my gosh, like another thing. This is like a more scary, I don't know, it felt like a more scary health scare thing. And I was away from her for like days. And
that's the thing, so is fresh. You were alone, yeah.
And I was completely alone. And I was in the infectious disease unit. So they're like, oh, if anyone comes to visit, they'll have to like get like this gown on and like get him. It was like I'm just like, and then I didn't want Leif to, so even once my mom was there, I'm like, I don't really want Leif to come to the infectious disease unit of a hospital and then go home to our brand newborn. Like, I just was like, this is just, it was not a fun situation. And then so I had antibiotics via an IV in the hospital, and then I had to do 5 days of an at-home IV antibiotics, and every single day the vein would collapse and I'd have to get a new IV.
Stop.
So I got 5 different IVs. 1, 2, 3, 4 in my hands. And I would get it in my hand, which is, it's like really painful in your hand. And they'd be like, do not use this hand. Like, because they would keep the IV in it and hope that the vein wouldn't collapse, because they wanted to use the same IV every time, but it just kept, like, my veins are so annoying and so small. So they'd be like, literally just don't use this hand. It's my right hand and I have a newborn. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
So I couldn't hold her. I couldn't feed her really. Like I would just have to do everything with my left hand for like days. And then they would come over the next day to like administer the IV again, and the vein would be collapsed. And I'd go, sorry, I have to do the next hand. So like, it never was, so I would have an IV in my hand and have to like literally not move for a full day. And then every single time they'd be like, oh my gosh, it collapsed again. Like we have to do a new one.
Oh my God.
So again, bruises everywhere, but blah, like it was just, I'm like, I am traumatized. Like that really to me was like, I'm feeling extremely beaten down at this point. It's like I even telling the story on the podcast, I'm like, I'm so annoyed that I did not have the most perfect birth and postpartum story to tell you guys for my own sake, and also because it was so hard for me to get pregnant, and I didn't have like the easiest pregnancy either. So I'm like, wow, okay. I was really hoping for like one of them, and it's funny because I was like, I think postpartum will be easy for me. Yeah. Great. Of course, it's me like jinxing it or something. But all of that to say, I did that for 5 days at home. Then I took more antibiotics via like an oral whatever. I just had another doctor's appointment today, just like a video call with the infectious disease doctor to talk just about everything. And anyway, all that to say, I'm feeling like a million times better now, and I'm feeling more healed down there and stuff. So I'm just like, now the contrast, I'm like, I feel amazing. Yeah. I feel amazing. I am like, we've kind of been going out a little bit more and doing more things. Like I thought I would be a little bit more up for stuff like earlier. I don't know. Yeah. I just felt like I'd be like, oh, everyone come meet her. Like, people be like, send me pictures. I'm like, I don't even like really take that many pictures because we don't do.
I'm fighting for my life.
Yeah, I'm just like fighting for my literal life, trying to like, I don't know, get back on track. And yeah, it was just all a lot. But I feel like now it's just so much better. My doctor was asking me like, were there any complications after you got home? And I was like, it's been all uphill. It's been like so good. And she's like, well, they told me that you had to get a bunch of different IVs. Like, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that literally last weekend. That was the worst thing I've ever gone through. No, she was saying after I got home from the hospital. Wow. Sorry, the infectious disease doctor.
Yeah, I thought you meant your postpartum like doctor.
No.
Anything happened? You're like, nothing.
I'm like, it's been amazing. Literally so delusional. I'm like, it is perfect. Disease. Literally life-threatening sepsis. No, but I
do remember, side note about the UTI thing, for all the women out there, I went to urgent care when I had a UTI like years ago. And I had kind of pushed it to the limit. Like I'd been waiting because you just never want to take antibiotics. Just like, hopefully this goes away. Yeah. And the doctor was like, your white blood cell count was high or low. I don't remember which one. He was like, don't ever do that again. He was like, it is not okay to like push an infection. And I was like, sorry, daddy.
I know. If you're feeling like it, it's just not something to mess around with. Of course, I see something on my free page. It's like, if you've taken 1 round of antibiotics, it will increase depression by 40%. Yeah. If you've taken 2, it will increase it by 60. I'm like, what if you've taken 10? I'm like, cool.
What if I am an
No, literally my gut microbiome has left the chat. I'm like, I don't have anything left in there. I'm feeling like so much more. I know I had said this before, but I really am feeling extremely excited to like be on my wellness journey. And I don't have specific expectations of what that looks like, but like I truly feel more than ever like motivated to be healthy, because I literally, all you have is your health. And that is just like what this whole experience was showing me. It's like when I was in the hospital and when I'm just like going through the IVs and when I just did not feel well, I'm like, this alters your life so dramatically. Like all we have in our life is our health. Yeah. And I am like so committed to just trying my best to like be well. And in every capacity, I feel like I'm just excited to like get back on track of just like even going on walks and like taking my probiotics and eating healthy foods, like making food at home. I'm just like, I have never been more truly like motivated to do that, because even though I know it's going to be even harder now that I have like a baby, but I'm just like, I got to get this health in check. Like this was a really crazy experience that I do not want to be in and out of hospitals and back at the doctor. And like, not that I could have controlled like the UTI thing. I'm just saying like in general, I just want to be as healthy as I possibly can.
Anything you can avoid.
Yes, literally. And yeah, it was kind of annoying to me because I'm like, all of the interventions I got led to, I felt like, you know, I had to get the catheter because I was on the catheter for so long because of the preeclampsia and the blah, blah, blah. And then because of the catheter, I got the UTI. And then because of the antibiotics didn't work. Oh, by the way, they had told me that the first antibiotics I took, the reason I was like still feeling symptoms is because this certain bacteria in my body was resistant to that specific antibiotic, which I think was maybe because it was like breastfeeding safe. And so it was like maybe not as intense or something. That's my best guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This podcast is sponsored by ByHeart. ByHeart is an infant nutrition company built from the ground up to deliver real innovation on behalf of babies and parents. Their mission is simple: make the best formula in the world. As a parent, it can be so stressful, all the little things you have to decide for your baby, especially when they're so little, they seem so fragile, and you just want to give them the best. And one of the things that can be kind of stressful is finding good formula. If you're wanting to supplement with formula, or if you are doing formula feeding from the start, whatever it is that is your situation, ByHeart is your answer. ByHeart is here and they are to be trusted. So this year, our friends at ByHeart, the only American-made formula with globally sourced ingredients to use organic, grass-fed whole milk, never skim, are celebrating the ways in which they never skim on anything, especially your babies. Whole milk is full of healthy fats like naturally occurring MFGM, which play an important part in babies' brain development and growth. Also, ByHeart never skims on protein. Their patented protein blend gets closest to breast milk thanks to the two most abundant proteins found in breast milk, plus broken down proteins. And even better, ByHeart never skims on their standards. Their formula is made with certified clean ingredients, plus it has no soy, corn syrup, GMOs, or palm oil. A lot of formula companies do use skim milk, so again, they are the only American-made formula with globally sourced ingredients to use organic, grass-fed whole milk, which is awesome. So if you're curious about ByHeart, you can redeem your welcome offer at byheart.com/podcast with code WhatWeSaid20 for a limited time. Additional terms and conditions apply. Again, the code is WhatWeSaid20. Go check it out.
Yeah, I'm feeling just so much better now. I forgot to talk about her name. I was gonna
ask you about
really?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we pretty much had her name from very early on, and I wanted to like give the story of people like, how did you like think of it or whatever? Like, you know, how did it come to be? I wish I had like a cool story, but it really was kind of random. I have had a few girl names in my head that I always thought I would use. I have one that's kind of like a family sentimental name that I was like, oh, you know, if I ever have a daughter, I would want to use that name. And it just, I think I had said on the podcast, like when I got pregnant, I was like, it just doesn't feel like her name.
It doesn't fit her.
Weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't
like
fit her
even
at all.
seeing her now, that doesn't fit her at all.
No. And I'm just like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't feel like her name. And so I was kind of like shook that was always like the name I just thought that I would like to use because it meant something to me and whatever. But yeah, I just was like, once that was off the table, that name, I really was like, I don't know what I'm going to name this kid. So, I had Benny on my boy name list. And when I was looking at it, I'm like, that's kind of cute for a girl. And immediately upon telling Leif, he was like, I love that name. And I was just going back and forth. I'm like, I don't know any girls named Benny. I trying to understand if that, you know, I'm trying to see if that's weird, like, or if I think it's cute. I was trying to figure out how to spell it, like if I just wanted to go with the classic spelling or change it up, whatever. And then I didn't know for middle name, whatever. So we were just kind of, but it was on the forefront of our mind pretty much like from very early on in my pregnancy. Yeah. I had mentioned that name and Leif was like, I really like it. And everyone that I told, like just close people were like, wait, I love it. And so I was like, and all of them liked it more than my other names. So I was like, okay, maybe it's the one.
Yeah, you can always kind of tell, like if you tell someone and they're like, oh, I like that. Yeah,
you're
then
like,
you tell them the other one, they're like, I love that.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I was feeling. Like everyone was like, wait, that's really cute. So, you know, my close circle who I trust. And so, yeah, that was on the forefront. And then I did have like one other name that I was like, maybe, that I thought was cute. And I really did want to see her. Like, I felt like her name was Benny the whole time, but I'm like, let me just, I don't know. People say like, once you see them, then you know. And I'm like, okay, well, let me see her then. And then maybe I'll know. So, yeah, pretty much immediately upon her being born, like, I looked at Leif, not literally immediately, but, you know, within like an hour or two, and we were like with her alone.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't see her for, I swear, like 40 minutes. Like, she's, you know, when they put them on your chest and you're like, you don't know what they look like.
No, and like your first reaction isn't real. You're so like,
yes,
on a different planet that you're not like, immediately like, what color eyes do they have?
And they were like asking me questions about it. Like, what do you think? I'm like, I literally was like, I don't know what she looks like. Because she was literally like right on my chest. I couldn't see her. Yeah. Anyway, so once I saw her and once we had done like skin to skin and it had been like an hour or two, Leif and I were talking and I'm like, she's Benny, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. I also was
cute. I love that name.
Like going back and forth with middle names, and my mom is Jill Marie, I'm Jaci Marie, and it did feel right. But I almost was like fighting against it because I was like, it just feels like such a classic, or not classic, but like I just feel like a lot of people have the middle name Marie. But the more, which isn't a bad thing. You can name your, like, it's not a bad thing if a lot of people have it, but then I was kind of thinking, I'm like, honestly, a lot of people from my generation, like a lot of my friends' middle names are Marie or people my age, but honestly, I don't know that many people like.
They're not going to name their kids.
Yeah, like maybe like they won't name, or that's not as common now because it was so popular. And at the end of the day, it just is like, you know, my mom, me, and her, and it sounded like I felt like it just flowed and like made sense. Every time I would
and she's your twin, it just makes sense.
Yeah, every time I would try and get creative, like I did have a few other names that I was like, oh, that's kind of more whatever, different. Like different. Yeah. It just, I was like, yeah, it just doesn't feel right. And Benny Marie just like fit her, and it just clicked with me and like flowed so well. Yeah. So, yeah, that's her name, and I feel like it fits her perfectly.
So cute.
And yeah, I just love it. I was going back and forth on the spelling quite a bit, but ultimately I just liked the classic, like ending it with a Y. I felt like it was, I think B is such a cute letter, first of all. Not that that's why I named her, but like when I would like write it out, I'm like, this is so, it just looks cute.
Yeah,
like it feels, it flows, it's looking good, it's sounding good, and it just is her. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, it does. It matches her so well.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm biased to the Y names, but I think names ending in Y are cute.
Yeah, the Y is so cute. And the Marie ends in IE, so I didn't really want to double it up. Like when I would I would look at it spelled, like if I spelled her name with IE, it didn't to me look as, I don't know, it was looking like more like repetitive and clunky, and with the Y it just felt like it flowed better. So a few people have sent me like things with her name on it, personalized, like companies and stuff. And like when I see it, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Like I love it.
Yeah, it's so cute. Your necklace is so cute.
Oh, thank you.
The B is so cute.
B. I know. I really love the letter B. I haven't had any other, I don't think, names on my list that ever have been with a B. But also something, I feel like a lot of people, well, I don't actually know. I don't know what the perception is, but some comments were like, oh my gosh, this is not what I expected, but I love it, or something. Like people were saying that they didn't expect that name, which I don't know what they did expect, but.
Well, I do feel like it's different than the names you shared. Like, it is not cohesive with the names you shared on your names I liked, but didn't you, or not going to use or whatever. I don't think so.
Well, I was going to say, I did,
like those ones are a little more, like, I feel like Benny's more like tomboy, cool girl, like that's what it gives to me. And your other ones are like way more
like girly or feminine or something.
Yeah, like charm, like just more, maybe more feminine, I guess.
True. Yeah. But I think any of those names would flow with Benny. Like if I had two girls and one of them was named that, I feel like it would all go.
But it's not all like, it's not like you had other names that you would have guessed Benny, is what I'm trying to say. Like it's not like you would think to add to that list.
Well, what I was going to say is I remember deliberately not sharing a few names that I had on my girl name list that were like boy names, quote unquote. Like I did share Leo, which is a boy name. Yeah. But I didn't want to share like more, because then I was like, oh, people will maybe then guess like, oh, she likes more of those like whatever, boy names for girls or gender neutral, whatever. And then they would maybe guess it. But I did not see one person guess it, which shocked me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure no one guessed Elwood either.
No.
Like, that something that it's like, that would be very hard to guess. Not that that's like bad if people could guess it or something.
No,
but I was like really shocked because I saw multiple like prediction videos for me, and then there would be like comments of people guessing. And like I never once saw. Oh, and then also I was on like baby name TikTok, so I would get tons of just like videos served to me, like names with a B for a girl, names with, and what I would see multiple times, like boy names for girls, and I was like, oh, I bet like maybe it would be on here. Never, was never on any like list. I was like, okay,
those would always scare me. Like I would get some even when you were pregnant after I had Elwood, after I knew the name, and I'd see it and I'd make sure that it like wasn't on there. Because I feel like once it's on like this aesthetic looking thing and it's like perfect names, this aesthetic, and then it says the name, it kind of ruins it almost sometimes. Yeah. You're like, oh, I'm thinking the same thing as everyone else.
Right.
I'm in the algorithm.
Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but like I did get a few comments that were like, my girl's name is Benny, like after, because I had never seen it for a girl.
Yeah.
I knew, I'm sure, that it existed. I knew she wouldn't be the first, but I like don't feel like it's as common as other like names that I've heard for that are usually
like gender neutral.
Yeah. But then when I announced the name, like some people were like, oh, my girl's name is Benny too, and she's 2 or whatever. Like, so I did see a few comments that people that had girls named Benny, but what was I going to say? Oh, there was this video that I saw on my For You page that was like, when something about like when Jaci Marie names her girl the name you were going to name your son or something in a few months. And it had like, it was like, it blew up. Like it had so many likes. And I was just thinking like, and people were like, no, like, are you still going to use it? And she's like, yeah, I still am. And I'm like, duh. You're like, that would be insane.
No.
To not use the name Benny for your son, which
is coming in a couple months.
Yeah. Because I named my daughter that and we don't know each other. I was like, wait, that would be absolutely psychotic if you did not name your child Benny because I named mine that. And they're also like
a boy and a girl.
Genders.
Yeah,
I was like, girl, of course you have to use the name. Like that would be diabolical if you let me stop you from that. Like what?
Yeah. I think there's a thing with baby names coming because everyone's been so obsessed and it's like, so I want it to be different. I want it to be this. Like I don't want it. As soon as an influencer or a celebrity uses it, it can't be used anymore. Yeah. I feel like there's going to be an overcorrection of that where people are just going to be like, who the F cares?
Well, like, people in the comments were like, that's me with like Sophia Richie. Like she named her daughter Eloise. Like it's always been my top girl name. I'm like, girl,
that's such a
Eloise is like, that is first of all a beautiful name and very common, not super crazy, and also it's a celebrity. Like you're now not gonna name your kid because like I don't know. I guess I can relate to the notion. Like I remember making a video a while ago being like, oh, one of the worst parts of infertility is like you have these baby names and then you like see people name their kid that and you're like, cool. I guess that's a little bit different, but I guess I get it. If you're like, I don't know.
You don't want people to think that you got it from them. So that's why, well, then just make a TikTok. Just say, I had this name first.
Maybe that's why she made the TikTok to be like, see, I didn't copy her. Like, whatever.
That's true.
But I was like looking at the comments of that and people are like, just being like, no, like, I hate that. Like, you should still use it. I'm like, what the, like, I'm shook.
Yeah.
It's not also because it's not a crazy name.
Yeah.
Benny is not like the most, again, like I don't think it's super common for a girl, but it's not
like a made up word.
A made up name or something. Yeah, where it's like a noun of some sort that's like no one else has named that and you're like, oh great, now everyone's gonna think like, Anyway, I thought that was funny. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's so cute. I love it.
Thank you.
I love I just love overall like names that are boy names that for girls. Like I feel like it's just such a cool, like I know it's kind of like a cheesy word, but like a cool thing to do. Like it's just a cool name for a girl.
Well, so Leif's sister's name is Austin, and I was asking his mom because I was realizing I'm like, maybe her whole life like people are going to think she's a boy. Like if they just see her name written, like they're
Yeah.
probably going to maybe assume that it's a boy, and then if whatever.
Yeah.
And I was asking Leif's mom, I was like, how did Austin feel growing up? Like with her name primarily like being a boy name,
yeah.
but she's a girl. And she was like, oh, she loved it.
Yeah.
She's like, she like loves her name. And Leif's sister's also a redhead. And she's like, she loved being a redhead. She loved that her name was Austin. Like
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
I love that. And I also like me and Leif, I feel like have, I don't know if you call it unique names, but names that people always get wrong, which that's not, I don't think that'll really be a concern for her. It's like, no one's going to mispronounce her name probably. Just maybe the gender thing.
Yeah.
But like we always say that's like a part of our lore. Like people call me Jackie, people call him Leif, but it's like a conversation starter. Like
Yeah.
I like that. I don't know any other, like I know like one other person named Jaci, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Leif has met like one other person that in his like circle that has ever been named Leif. And it's like, we like that we have names that are
Not expected.
Like, and yeah, I just think we're getting more and more into that territory too, where it's like, it is going to be almost weirder if you have like a super traditional name at this point.
Yeah.
Like in 20 years.
If you want to be different.
Yeah. If you want to be different, literally name your kid like the most like traditional name.
You know what names I haven't seen recently that would really be the only kid in first grade? Like a Tiffany.
Totally.
Or a Stacy.
Jessica.
Like those classic early 2000s names.
Yeah. So true.
That like you chose as your name when you were playing house when you're little. Like I want to be Tiffany.
Yes.
Like the Mycene doll names.
Next
Chelsea
boy
is one
Derek.
of those, honestly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like.
Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad. It's like we just need some of those back.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think it fits her perfect. It's like you got to go with the energy
Exactly.
that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's perfect. She's so cute and sweet. She has been thriving the whole time. I've been in shambles, which has been honestly amazing. Like I would prefer it that way. I feel like even though I went through a lot of health struggles the past few weeks, like it's looking up now, and she literally like everything has been great.
She's thriving.
Yeah, appointment we've been to after the whole breastfeeding like situation, you know, once we kind of solved that, spoiler alert, I gave up.
You didn't give up. You just stopped.
I know. I just couldn't, like between all the infections and all the different antibiotics that I was on. Yeah, it was really becoming a lot. And I could feel a literal pit in my stomach every time I went to pump. Like I was feeling so anxious, and I was just like, I know in my gut that has no microbiome left that I have to like give this up because it's not working. And yeah, so anyway, but ever since then, things have been looking up.
Yeah.
And have been, I just am feeling like really excited for the future, and just, I'm really happy. And yeah, I don't even want to say that to jinx it, but something that I haven't been dealing with is like a lot of anxiety or like depression or anything, which I'm really grateful for, because I feel like I was when I was just going through all the health stuff. But like now that has kind of turned a corner, I'm feeling just like a lot more like myself. And
that's good.
Yeah. I'm just feeling like happy and kind of getting into a groove at this point a little bit with her. You know, having a newborn is no joke. Like it is really hard to like, just the lack of sleep, the trying to figure out her.
They're a riddle every day.
Trying to figure out her lore. No, but just trying to figure out like, what she likes, what she doesn't like. They're very unpredictable. I feel like I was telling Chelsea, I'd be like, oh, okay, she loves this swaddle and she loves this like situation. And then the next day I'm like, you hate it? Okay, moving on to the next. Like, it's just like you're trying to figure them out, and you're all trying your best. And the sleep deprivation and the healing of it all. Like, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
So... But things are really good. I'm very excited to be back podcasting.
We missed you. The Valley Girls
missed
you. I have to say, like, you've been taking it all like on the chin. Like, can I just talk? Like,
I know.
Can I literally just talk?
No, it's actually so
like,
annoying.
I'm really not even trying to be like, oh, I'm crying. Like, I'm actually so bugged. Like, why can't I just speak and like express myself?
I feel that deeply for myself as well.
I feel like you've been taking it all on the chin. Like you've been going through more than I could have even imagined. I was telling Nick, I'm like, I feel so bad. I literally jinxed Jaci'S. I'm like, once the baby's here, it's all uphill from here. Like,
that's what I thought
it'll be so easy.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be able to relax. Like, all of the pain will be over. And then literally life-threatening after life-threatening illnesses. But every time I've seen you, I feel like you still have like your humor, which you feel like, you know, you cope with. And you're just like, yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of like what you were saying right before you like gave birth. I feel like that's your energy. Like that's one of your gifts is to just be like, all right, I can cry and get over this. And like, this is annoying, but it's go time. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to be making TikToks while I'm literally septic.
I will say that's after they said that I could go home. I was about to be discharged. Otherwise, I would have not been able to make that TikTok.
Well, even
I was finally feeling better at that time.
Even like how, yeah, I just feel like the energy and the, what am I trying to say? Demeanor that you've had when I've seen you. It's just like you're going through it. I would not be able to say the same for myself. I feel like I would be like a mental wreck.
You dig deep. I feel like when things just...
You have to.
You have no choice. Like,
yeah.
Which that's what this whole experience has shown me the past year of my life is like, you are, like everyone says, it's like, you're so much stronger than you think. But it's like, when you're just like given something where it's like, you are dealing with this and you have no choice, you're just like, okay, like I have to go through this. And like, I just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I will say that's another, going back, not that I need to, I'm like, here's my other excuse for not breastfeeding. I felt like, again, for the past year, I have sacrificed my body, everything. Like I have sacrificed for IVF. I have sacrificed for pregnancy. I have sacrificed with this, like, whatever. That the breastfeeding thing, I was like, I was realizing, I was like, let me take every single person's opinion away. Let me take every single like thing I've heard of like, well, you should blah, 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 about feeding. I'm like, I'm done because I deserve to do whatever I want. And like, I don't want to be doing this right now.
Yeah.
And the second I made that decision, I was immediately, a weight was lifted. And I was just like, I felt so good. I was talking to my friend on FaceTime and she was like, oh, are you breastfeeding? I was like, no. And she's like, I didn't breastfeed. And I was like, oh, you didn't? I was like, I thought you did. She's like, no. And she's like, and I felt like such a loser, like, because I like couldn't do it or like I gave up. And she's like, I literally just felt like, she's like, I felt so guilty. And anyway, so the reason I'm sharing that, I actually was hesitant. I was like, should I even talk about like my breastfeeding thing? But I'm like, I just want other girls to know if like you are feeling like you are trying your best. That's how I felt. I'm like, I am trying to, I would do anything for Benny. And I am trying so hard in like every capacity. I can let this one go because she's doing fine on formula and she's doing great. So it's like, don't beat yourself up. Like you can only do so much. And so anyway, if you're also feeling like a loser, don't, because you're doing amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was even saying. Like I wouldn't even consider you giving up on it. It's like you literally were given so many trials for the like breastfeeding journey in general. And like seeing you literally try everything like for so long, probably longer than most people would in your situation with everything that you were going through. Like the best thing for your baby, obviously everyone knows this, but you really feel it when you're actually going through it. It's like the best thing for your baby is a healthy, okay mom.
Yeah.
If you're not thriving and you're not happy, and breastfeeding is literally like taking a huge hit on your mental health, on your physical health, whatever it is, because it's a lot.
It's
like,
a lot,
and if it's not easy, it can be such like it really can be like a life altering thing.
Totally.
If it's not like,
it's very draining.
Easy, convenient,
if it's not working, like
if it's painful, if you're like exclusively pumping and you have to keep it up, it's just all of it. No matter if you're breastfeeding, if you're exclusively pumping, if you're doing both, if you're supplementing formula or you're just doing formula, all of it is hard.
Yep.
All of it is
there's pros and cons to all of it.
Yeah, all of it is constant. You're constantly taking care of your baby, whatever it is. There's inconveniences to all of them. There's pros to all of them. But yeah, I don't want you to feel like you like gave up, because I feel like you literally tried every aspect and just had to do what was best for you.
No, I do. I don't feel like if I take everyone's opinion or like, you know, if I feel like, oh, people might judge me or think that whatever, like if I take all of that away, I know for a fact I did everything I could. And I knew it again in my gut that like I needed to be done with it. And immediately once I was like, I'm so much happier and lighter. Like I feel literally like a weight has been lifted. And so I really do feel as though it was the best decision. Like I don't have any regrets at all. And I just, it is natural though. I think like, especially again, I've talked about this many times on the podcast. It's like, sometimes I've been like, oh, am I like maternal? Like, am I going to be a good mom? And I think like anything to me that challenge it, like if it's like, oh, breastfeeding's hard, I'm like, oh great, more confirmation that like this is not coming easy to me. Like I think that that's like a little bit of a mental battle for me, but like I know that that's not true. Like, so I know that I'm literally, again, would like do anything for her and have done everything in my power for her and will continue to. And I know that I'm doing a great job. Like truly, I feel that I am like doing everything I can. So why would I feel guilty about that, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Shout out ByHeart.
Thank you to our sponsor ByHeart. I literally have been using our code. It's great. I love the formula. I really do. And she's been doing great on it, and she's been like gaining weight, like, you know, appropriately and everything. So I am actually, I'm not kidding. I was like, wait, I might cry when I talk about ByHeart. Like I had that thought. Like I was like, at our next sponsor, I might literally cry because it like, I feel like it literally saved me during such a vulnerable time. That formula, like it was,
and we knew so much about it.
Yeah, I knew so much about it because I had been like or, you know, like we'd been researching it for the ads and stuff.
Yeah,
and I had it at my house like as a backup. I guess I planned on breastfeeding, but I was like, oh, I'll keep this if I need to like supplement at all. And so, and then the fact that she like took it and was like doing well on it, I was so grateful.
Yeah.
So shout out ByHeart. Use our code. I've been using it. Anyway, sorry, I've been talking for a long time.
As you should.
But we knew this one had to be long because I had to give you all the updates and all the tea. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I think that about covers everything.
Yeah. We can talk more too, like, because I want to hear about like your postpartum and stuff more.
Yeah.
Like now and stuff. But, and also just other stuff.
Yeah. My house.
Yeah. There's so many updates.
During all of this, I've also been trying to renovate. We've also been trying to renovate our house still.
Yeah.
So it's been like a very busy time. But yeah, I have lots of updates about that too.
Yeah.
So I'll give those on Friday maybe. And I'm trying to make a YouTube video right now of like, I've been just kind of documenting a little bit of the past month and stuff. So I don't know if that'll be out by the time this comes out. Maybe it's already out. Maybe it's coming out soon. If you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Oh, don't worry.
Postpartum hair loss. When does that happen?
Please look at that.
3 months?
This is not a one-time thing. This happens like literally every 5 minutes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it like
3 to 4 months.
Like,
yeah, it's crazy. Thank you.
That's like nothing you can like
help
right? Or like bypass. I mean, you can take like Nutrafol. I'm planning on taking Nutrafol. I should probably start taking it immediately actually.
Yeah, I started taking it. I forgot to keep taking it, but
it's not going to completely what's like, oh my gosh, why can I not think of the word?
Completely like fall out.
No, it's not going to solve it. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It's not going to completely, like, you're going to have postpartum
I think it's just,
hair loss.
I think it just happens. Also, I think you have so much hair when you're pregnant, you have more to lose as well. So it looks scarier than it actually is. Because when you're pregnant, your hair grows so much and it doesn't fall out as much. So,
awesome.
Anyways. Oh, this is your future.
Cool.
Just kidding.
More life-altering things.
On Say next episode, to the red hair.
No, literally. On next episode, we'll talk about my postpartum fashion crisis. Can't wait.
Can't wait.
I will close with this. I have now decided that I deserve a push present, a preeclampsia present, and a sepsis, life-threatening illness,
infectious disease present.
So I deserve 3 presents.
Be thinking.
Yeah, I'll be thinking. I already have a few ideas. Brown leather vintage Miu Miu bag.
Cute.
Porsche Cayenne. No, the thing is, I always thought did you do a push present ever?
Did I or did Nick?
Well,
and the answer is no. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I always thought that was like a cute, great concept. It's like, okay, like a present for pushing out your baby. Like you deserve, I deserve to pick out something or something.
The thing is that I buy everything. That I actually brought that up to Nick. I was like, what about a push present? He's like, what can I buy
what about
you?
all the packages of come door about this week?
He's like, just count the Revolve package at the doorstep. Yeah. No, he's like, you literally buy everything you want. I don't know what to get you. I'm like, okay, I have a problem.
That's facts. But also, that idea was shut down very quickly with the house renovation. I was like, the push present is the house. I mean, let's be real. That's where all my money's going, is to this home.
It's a great push present.
But now I've decided I deserve extra.
Yeah.
So we'll be thinking about that, and I will be brainstorming and sending Leif some links, and maybe we'll go on a journey on like TikTok or YouTube. I will be purchasing something for myself, and Leif will also be buying me something.
Yeah.
Because I deserve things.
I agree. We'll get you a push present too. What We Said Podcast.
Who's
LLC.
I'm like, we'll start a GoFundMe as well. Won't you guys?
You guys buy it.
Yeah. Push present from you guys. Yeah. No, we'll see. Stay tuned for that journey.
Love
Could be
that.
fun. You know, sometimes you just need a physical gift to get you through a hard time.
Oh,
retail therapy.
I get a physical gift for myself every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm feeling a little, what am I feeling today? Not 100% happy. Retail
Time for
therapy.
a present. Totally. Well, I'm so happy to be back. Thanks for, if you guys made it through this whole thing, thanks for listening to this long episode all about all of the birth stuff.
All about Benny.
Make sure you guys follow us on YouTube at What We Said Podcast. You can just search it.
She forgot. She's been gone so long.
Follow us on Instagram at What We Said Podcast. Follow us on TikTok at What We Said. We've been posting some fun clips. That clip of our text message story sent me into orbit. I could not stop laughing. I literally just would keep rewatching it to see us laugh because it was like bringing me joy.
So funny.
Anyway, we love you guys so much. And
that's what we said. Bye.